Alright guys, let's better our cake game while making it easier and less hassle. Let's do it! Because butter becomes semi-solid in room temperature and solid in refrigerator, plus it's not all fat. The water content evaporation contributes more to the dryness of the cake. Also, there's more work to do here. You have to cream it with sugar to incorporate air unless you want a deflated compact cake. On the other hand, cake with oil is generally richer, moister, less step to do, and success consistently. So yes, you probably see me using oil more often. You know, I'm a lazy baker. If you're using cups and spoons for measuring, the number one mistake is sifting your flour when the recipe does not call for it, or vice versa. My recipes normally do not call for sifting. Keep it simple, right? Now shaking your cups before leveling to remove air pockets, that is what I always recommend. For the flour itself, if you want lighter, more uniform crumbs, use cake flour. But if denser, moisture is desired, take all-purpose flour. The two common mistakes when using baking soda is forgetting to add acidic ingredient, and don't bake promptly after the bubbling reaction happens. So even though baking soda is 3 to 4 times stronger than baking powder, it is not as popular as baking powder for cake unless the batter is super thick. Baking powder these days is double-acting. React again to heat in the oven, so that guarantees the cake will rise. Sometimes we try to make the cake healthier by significantly reducing the sugar, but ends up with a dry, tough cake that looks so pale. Sugar is more than just sweetness. In most cases, I advise you not reduce more than 1/4 the amount of sugar the recipe calls for. For salt, I'd recommend using fine table salt instead of coarse salt for a more well-blended batter. In my experience, if you need to make your cake dry away without planning, cold eggs and milk work perfectly fine, unless your cake used butter, which preferred room temperature ingredients, and sponge cake also appreciate room temperature eggs as it whip up easier. Speaking of sponge cake, cake soak method is a great way to add more moisture and flavors after the cake done baking. Higher fat content in liquid can mean richer, moister cake, but remember, too much of a good thing can backfire. We pretty much find vanilla extract present in every cake these days. In my savvy opinion, if vanilla isn't the main flavor, you can use just an average mid-price range like the old-time McCormick, but if vanilla flavor is all there is, well, I highly recommend you invest in a higher quality one like this one from Newson Massey. Just compare them side by side, you can definitely tell the significant differences. There are many types of buttercream frosting. The easiest one and most popular, of course, is the American buttercream frosting. A little too sweet for my taste, but there are ways to tame that down, depends on what cake I'm making. My favorite is almond buttercream. It is light, smooth, fluffy, very stable for piping, less sweet, and my favorite part is it is one of the least calories dense frosting. I'm just trying to be healthy here. A little frosting in the bottom helps anchoring the cake in place, especially helpful when you transport your cake around, like to a party. Now let's talk some about equipment and tools before we finish. If your cake seems being off to one side, that can be because of either or both. Your oven doesn't bake evenly, or the racks in the oven or the floor of your kitchen are not leveled. You can try to rotate the pan midway through during the baking or adjust the oven's front legs to level the rack inside. Also, don't open your oven too early before the timer goes off. I prefer baking at 335 or 340 degrees Fahrenheit. This slightly lower temperature produces cake with lower domes, which is desirable compared to the standard 350 degrees. I highly recommend using non-stick aluminum pans for even fast baking, as aluminum transfer heat most efficient, and of course, non-stick pan will secure a safe release of your cake. Just make sure using a flexible spatula. Now, do you know that a 9-inch round pan is 25% larger than 8-inch pan? Also, do you know you don't have to cut a perfectly rounded parchment paper for the bottom of the pan? A square one works just fine. For most cakes, once you add wet and dry ingredients together, a 1 minute of mixing is typically enough. The number one mistake when using a stand mixer is over-mixing, because you may turn away doing something else and forgot your machine is still running. Over-mixing creates excessive gluten, which makes your cake dense, tough with lots of kernels. With handheld mixer, you can manually mixing first before running the machine to prevent spattering. Other small tools I would recommend you have are a cake leveler. This one is excellent. A large spatula for transferring the cake and a large cookie scoop for frosting. Of course, a spinner, offset spatula, and a scraper as well. Hey, I hope you found something useful in this video. The most enjoyable part for me is trying to keep my baking simple. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you might, please supporting my small channel by doing this. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye bye.